I don't know what to think for Oklahoma. I think they end up being 8-4, 9-3, and I think that is a successful year. If they go 9-3, depending on who they beat, I think they should make the college football playoff. Oklahoma. What do you know about Oklahoma in 2025? What are the things that you feel comfortable going into this season? Well, you have a new offensive coordinator and the quarterback that produced incredible numbers in the Pac-2, not the Pac-12. I mean, technically the Pac-12, but you had Oregon State and Washington State battling it out. And John Mateer and his offensive coordinator take a trip down to Norman, Oklahoma for what I would like to call a make or break season. It is truly a make or break season for Oklahoma football. No way around it. I mean, Brent Venables was supposed to be, the pivot that they desperately needed after Lincoln Riley. He ripped their hearts out going to USC, and here comes Brent Venables, who knows Norman, Oklahoma, who knows Sooner football better than anybody else. And you have some incredible seasons, or I would say just season. I believe they won 10 games one year, and then they dropped back down to 5-7. Last year, simply put, the defense was good, okay, even. The offense was putrid. In the SEC, they ranked 15 of 16 in points. They're one of the worst passing offenses that you can find in football, specifically within the SEC. Their rushing offense was below average, and I think a little bit because, Michael Hawkins, their backup quarterback who came in, could move around a little bit. So could Jackson Arnold, who is now with the Auburn Tigers. There was a lot of expectations last year. And going into the season, you heard camp notes, and it's one of those things where people say, like, oh, you could disregard things that you hear in camp. But then you see it happen in reality. Last year going into camp, they were having offensive line issues, and Jackson Arnold was turning over the ball. We get to 2024, Jackson Arnold is turning over the ball, and they're having offensive line issues. Now, what they couldn't anticipate was at one time 6 wide receivers being injured and out. That's something you can't prep for. You can't prep for your 5-star quarterback who basically kicked Dillon Gabriel to the curb and said, hey, I'm going to be the starting quarterback. We're moving forward with the future. Dillon Gabriel goes to Oregon, and they end up having an undefeated season. We obviously know what happened against Ohio State, but he has a good year. Jackson Arnold is now not even with the program. What is 2025 supposed to look like for a program that has a very difficult schedule, very similar to Florida? These two teams, one of them has to work, or both of these programs more than likely are going to be looking for new head coaches. Brent Venables is taking over the defense because it's not to his standard. He is taking over play calling duties because, in his own words, they are not leaving a single stone unturned. At the end of the day, they are not going to end this season leaving anything on the table. They're going to throw the kitchen sink. And with a schedule like they have to. They have to basically throw everything, or they are going to potentially go sub 500. This is a projected win total, I believe, as of the making of this stream and this podcast, 6.5. And you look around and you see them potentially on top 10 lists. You see them potentially as this dark horse sleeper to make the SEC title game. But the discrepancy between their win total and the hype is large. And so I've written down a little bit, what are some of their must wins? What are not the 50-50s? No, you need to win if you want to have a successful season, because you have Jaden Ott, transfer running back from California. If you've watched college football for the past couple of years, you may remember Jaden Ott. He had a down year last year, primarily due to injuries and how bad California's offensive line was. John Mateer, who could either be the second base pitcher for the Atlanta Braves or the second coming of Baker Mayfield. I say the baseball reference because he has a sidearm type of release where the ball is basically coming out all the way out here, which is very abnormal for a quarterback, but it works for him, and he's very dynamic. You're hoping for better health in the wide receiver room and just overall continuity. They're bringing back, I believe, 3 interior offensive linemen. Their cornerstones on the outside with left and right tackle. I believe they're bringing in transfers. The defense should take a step forward with Venables having more control on it. So what are the must-win games for the Oklahoma Sooners to have a good season or to keep Venables as their head coach? The first one is Michigan at home. All of these are going to be home games, by the way. They are all home games that I think they have to definitively, I don't care how it happens. It could be ugly. It could be a blowout. Win these damn games. First one, Michigan. I believe Michigan is in week 2. Bryce Underwood going against a Venables defense in Norman, Oklahoma. That's a tough game. It's not a lock win, but you need to win if you want to give yourself a chance because the back half of the schedule is brutal. Ole Miss, to me, I think you have to try and win this game. I mean, you want to try and win all of them, but this is one where Ole Miss is coming off of a year where they had playoff expectations. This roster was one of those teams that, though their record did not represent how talented this team is, no one wanted to face them in the playoffs because of the high-end talent. Missouri is another one. I think Missouri is going to be a team that their record is not going to represent how good they are. I think they are more of a middle-of-the-pack team, but their schedule gives them a lot more breathing room. And I would also say what I call the Jackson Arnold game, because you will also face Auburn at home. Auburn will be coming off a couple of challenges. You yourself are going to be facing, you faced Michigan and then Auburn comes in at week 4. Both of those games are super critical because you get to a point where you may need to split these 4 games, because right there, that's hopefully 4 wins. But if you can't get to those 4 wins, these are the games that get very difficult. Texas, Red River Shootout, known as no other name on this podcast forever, and it will always be that. And quick sidebar, if that game is not played in the Cotton Bowl and somehow Jerry Jones finds a way to get that rivalry game to be played at AT&T Stadium or in his preferred nomenclature, Jerry's World, that is an egregious mark on college football, and I will riot sitting right here. You have at Tennessee on the board. This is where you start to see the difficulty in the schedule because you play Texas. That's not a home game. That's about a 50-50 split, as you could see in the crowd. At Tennessee, at Alabama, you play LSU at home, and you go to South Carolina. Just brutal. And it's not like they're spread out because you get to a point where you can't even spread out these games. You're put into a position where all of these games are going to be strung along together, maybe a bye week thrown in there. But you need to be able to split maybe 1 to 2 of those games out of the 5. And you maybe limp to a 9-3 record. I mean, there's so many people that are predicting, I could see Oklahoma going 10-2. I could see Oklahoma potentially going 11-1 and SEC title shot. But I look at the schedule and you just get demoralized. So what is the expectation for Oklahoma to condense this all down? Because I believe in their defensive line, specifically Stone, number 0, a guy that hopped in the transfer portal, hopped back in because he probably got a better NIL deal. I love John Mateer. I've been a John Mateer truther since the beginning of this year. When I got some tape on him, the dude's electric. He truly is electric, but he also has some flaws. And those flaws being his decision-making. He will put the ball in harm's way, and he was facing Pac-2 competition. It wasn't SEC level speed. It wasn't a week-to-week gauntlet like the SEC truthfully is. And he is getting the top end of that. It's not like he's getting a Missouri type of schedule. He is getting the 0.1% of SEC schedules. So it is a jump for him. Jaden Ott has dealt with injuries. This wide receiver room has dealt with injuries. Like I think Burks is incredibly dynamic, and he's one of my favorite wide receivers, and the fact that he's not on these top 10 lists is wild to me. I like Oklahoma. I really do like Oklahoma. And they're a team that they got their own segment for a reason because of all the things that I've listed. It is a pressure cooker situation. The steam is coming out. They have to be good. I don't know if their schedule allows for it. And it truly worries me because I think Venables is not a bad coach. He might not be a good head coach. He might be a better defensive coordinator, very similar to like Cliff Kingsbury. He might not be a good head coach, but he's a damn good OC. I don't know what to think for Oklahoma. I think they end up being 8-4, 9-3, and I think that is a successful year. If they go 9-3, depending on who they beat, I think they should make the college football playoff. And that would assume that they are beating Michigan.